What's good, Atlanta? This is the Blog and Dirty Podcast, where Dirty Bird is the word if you haven't heard. I'm your host, John Buhler, lead writer, fansided.com. Coming to you guys today on a Wednesday morning. Very excited show for you guys. Very excited about today's show, excuse me. A lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, we've got voluntary OTAs underway here in Atlanta with your Atlanta Falcons up in Flowery Branch. Just a few things I've kind of noticed from the early start of training camp or voluntary OTAs for that matter. We are still in the heart of the offseason, but every single thing that we can learn about this team will help us get ready for this upcoming year. So definitely have an interesting show here for you guys. So let's get started here with some blow the whistle or blow the whistle. Is it a big deal that Kirk Cousins, Kyle Pitts, and Kaleb McGary were all no-shows for Falcons voluntary OTAs this week? I'm going to go bit by bit here. Individually, there might be some, yes, it's a big deal, blow the whistle like a train. There may be some across the board where it's not that big of a deal, like a referee. So I'm going to work my way through here with Cousins, Pitts, and then McGary. Or maybe Cousins, McGary, and then Pitts. Maybe that's the way they'll do it. So with Kirk Cousins not being there, I'm going to blow the whistle. No, it's not a big deal that he's not there. I wrote about this for fansided.com yesterday on Tuesday. It first came out that he was not going to be at OTAs. Then it later came out Pitts wasn't there. McGary, I believe, newcomer Morgan Fox coming over from the Chargers was not there as well. Again, all these guys may have their different reasons for not being with the Falcons. With Cousins, it tells me a handful of things. Number one, he's not going to be here unless he absolutely has to. I understand that he's the highest paid player on the team, the most compensated, but he doesn't really want to be here if he can't start. I understand that. He didn't play well down the stretch. He may need to accept his new role as a high-profile backup, but there's another team out there that may want him. We'll talk about that in a second. By him not being here, what this does is this ensures that Michael Penix Jr. gets all the reps with number ones, and it also affords the team's new presumptive backup, Easton Stick, to get all the reps with the number twos. So they'll be taking advantage of all the opportunities at their disposal, during OTAs while Cousins is not there. It's also beneficial for both the Falcons and for Cousins to not be here for voluntary OTAs. Like I said, this is an opportunity for Penix and Stick to get as many reps as possible. But it also prevents Cousins from potentially looking bad in practice, further damaging his trade value, his trade stock, if you will. This also allows, the Falcons to potentially ask for more. It's like, oh, Cousins, he's fully healthy. Yeah, you got to believe us. There's nothing out there on tape. There's nothing out there on film. There's nothing that any beat reporter up in Flowery Branch is going to say. So kind of safeguarding him, keeping him out, keeping him healthy. That basically leads me to believe that maybe a trade is coming. Maybe his days with the Falcons are numbered. I mean, with the way that this show is going, there's almost always something big news breaking that happens immediately after the show ends on Wednesdays, usually at the end of the week. It's very Falcons of us to have something that's kind of like a news dump there on Thursday or Friday. But this is when we can do the show. This is when I can do the show, and we just make it happen. But I don't think it's a big deal that Cousins isn't there. As far as Kaleb McGary is concerned, I'm going to blow the whistle. No, I don't think it's a big deal either. It's hit or miss. I think I could see people arguing for it either way. But McGary's a pro. He's been with the team since, I believe, 2019. Yes, he was the other first-round pick the Falcons made in 2019 when they got, Chris Lindstrom out of Boston College, and then they trade up to get McGary out of Washington. Although McGary was not extended a fifth-year option, he did get a second contract with the team. And even though I think they are breaking in a new center potentially, or at least it's going to be Ryan Newsel, being told he's a starter, McGary has a rapport with everybody else on the line. He knows Jake Matthews. He came into the league with Chris Lindstrom. Matthew Bergeron's been here for a few years as well. I know that they added Jack Nelson in the draft, but pretty much the Falcons' offensive line, outside of losing Drew Dahlman to the Bears and, further promoting Ryan Newsel from within, it's largely the same cast of characters. Yeah, you'd probably want him to be there to get a little bit better of protection, understanding that, like Penix is left-handed and Cousins is right-handed. So maybe this adds a little bit more importance for him to be his blindside protector a bit. I get that. He's also in a contract year. And I think he, at this stage of his career, is looking for some sort of assurance to basically be like, okay, I want to play with the Falcons. I want to spend my whole career here. I like playing here. I play really well in a cohesive unit. But he's at his best when he's like road grading. I think that, guys like Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier do a great job of running off of him. So, yeah, I would have liked for him to be here. But again, I'm not up in arms about Kaleb McGary missing voluntary OTAs. That being said, blow the whistle. It's a five-fire alarm. It's a massive deal for Kyle Pitts not being here. What are you doing, bro? Like, what are you honestly effing doing? I don't understand. Like, show me you don't care. Like, without showing me you don't care. This is a guy that kicked serious tail at Florida during COVID, caught a lot of passes from Kyle Trask, and playing alongside Kadarius Toney. Well, Trask isn't anything in the NFL. Toney's pretty much out of the league, and Pitts might be off the Falcons here soon. The talent's immense. It's why the Falcons gave him the fifth-year option. It's why he was number 4 pick. And again, you have to tell yourself that a lot of the guys that were taken in the 2021 NFL draft have not panned out. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is kind of overpaid there with the Jaguars. Zach Wilson's a massive bust who went to the Jets. I don't think Trey Lance is in the NFL anymore with the Niners. Obviously, I would have really liked to see Jamar Chase be here at number 5, but he went to the Bengals, and he's amazing. Penei Sewell, that could have been a great fit as well. He's kicking butt with the Lions. And then obviously, Justin Fields and Mac Jones, again, have really bounced around as quarterbacks at this point in their career. I don't even know where Mac Jones is. Justin Fields is trying to convince himself that he's still a starter with the Jets. I don't see it. I never have and never will. But, the talent's always there with Pitts. I just kind of wonder if he has any dog in him. No, he doesn't. He's a Gator. Of course he doesn't have any dog in him. He doesn't want to have dog in him. It would not shock me. I was joking with producer Sean in Slack yesterday. I'm like, of course, watch Pitts go sign with Sean's team, the Eagles, and go play for his hometown team, and then be an all-pro. That's just kind of what we're gearing up to, and somehow this is going to be painted back in a bad light for the Falcons. But if my job was on the line, and I thought I deserved an extension or a raise, but I didn't have the self-awareness to realize that I sucked at my job. What are you honestly doing here? The only reason that Pitts has any, see, 40 slip there. The only reason that Pitts has any chance of potentially staying with the Falcons beyond this year is if Michael Penix Jr. says, he's my guy, you can't let him go or I'm walking. It's essentially what Joe Burrow did with T. Higgins to Bengals owner Mike Brown. It's you're going to let him walk? Are you serious? We came into the league together. This guy was a stud at Clemson. He's been nothing but a good soldier here. And you don't want to pay him? Pitts has not done anything close to what T. Higgins has done in Cincinnati. And frankly, it pisses me off that, remember last year, he's I just work here. Have some ownership. Have some respect for who you are as a player. This is a guy that I've gotten really tired of defending. I know this is a guy that, he just drives the fantasy football community insane because the skills are there, but the lights are on and no one's home. I don't know what he's doing right now. What kind of leverage do you have? Do you want to be traded? And I mean, at this point, maybe he's not the best fit in Zach Robinson's offense. I know it's 11 personnel, and that asks a lot of a tight end. And maybe he's better equipped going to somewhere where they run more pro style, with a fullback or whatnot. So he's basically playing tight end, but he's really a receiver. I see everybody else with the Falcons, putting forth the effort. I mean, I see Drake London. We'll talk about him in a second. Tyler Algier, who's in a similar situation. He was in a contract year, 5th-round pick out of BYU. His journey was different. I mean, he was working at Walmart and had to walk on a BYU. I mean, unless you really love football, it's not a lot of fun. But what I'm getting at is Algier can't afford to mail in and say, oh, I deserve another contract. He's never made big money. I'd love to bring him back, but you got to figure out the price point. And ultimately, I believe the Falcons are going to decide on paying Algier over Pitts. Like there may be another tight end that could be out there. Like maybe Jack Clare out of Ohio State. Maybe he's a better fit for us. But then again, we don't have a first round pick next year. I don't understand how you can be this obtuse. Oh my goodness. Like maybe there's a family matter at hand. Maybe there's something else going on. Maybe he's excused, but like there are no excuses this year. Go out there and ball. Go out there and prove to us that you were worthy of the number 4 pick. It was a weird draft. It was a weird year. I understand that, the 2020 season, a lot of weird stuff happened in the NFL and college football and sports in general. I mean, like, what we would convince ourselves that Zach Wilson was a starting quarterback in this league. Right? I mean, anybody who watched college football prior to 2020 and saw it at BYU knew that was not the case. I'm trying to not get so fired up here, but like, I really wish Pitts was here. It just, there's going to come a time where he's going to need to make a play to help this team move the sticks to win a game. This is a team that has a tough schedule. And, it's been a painfully long time since 2017. The Buccaneers are ripe for the picking. Like, you can usurp them. Carolina's going to be pretty good, too. I don't think the Saints are going to be much of a factor, but, like, this is your time to go out there and make it happen. If the Falcons don't make the playoffs, I mean, what guarantees are there that Raheem Morris is going to get to year 3 or that Terry Fontenot is going to get to year 6? Ah, man. It just pisses me off he's not there. And, he's letting Dirty Bird Nation down, maybe the entire fan base. Certainly letting his teammates down, but, again, there's a reason the Falcons are looking to build around Penix, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Jesse Bates. Those guys do a better job representing the red and black than him, and that's all I'm going to say here. Moving on to our next topic. We mentioned Kirk Cousins already. We're going to talk about him again with some you like that. It's become apparent that the Pittsburgh Steelers have identified him as their Aaron Rodgers contingency plan. But will they trade for the Falcons' backup quarterback? Kind of the big news that happened over the weekend, over Memorial Day weekend. There's a podcast that I don't listen to, but you should listen to this one. Yeah, definitely listen to the Blog and Dirty podcast. Also listen to False Start if you love college football. Be sure to give both of those shows 5-star reviews. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Just hit it like I don't know. Hit it like a deep connect down the field that Justin Fields can't hit with I don't know, whoever receiver it is. But the point is, Kirk Cousins has been identified as the contingency plan if the Steelers don't get Aaron Rodgers. I think the Steelers are running out of patience here, and they should. I think there's a growing belief that Arthur Smith looks at Kirk Cousins and is like, you know what? He does like that. Is he an upgrade over Mason Rudolph? I believe so. Is he an upgrade over Will Howard? Definitely. Is Cousins going to get the Steelers to win about 11 or 12 games? I'm not so sure. I wrote about this for fanside.com yesterday, and if there are 6 teams that are going to miss the playoffs that made it this past year, the Steelers number 1 with the bullet. I don't think it's close. There are other teams out there that I'm kind of dubious on. I don't trust the Rams. I don't trust the Vikings. Buccaneers may slide back. Again, there's maybe reasons to fade the Broncos or Chargers, but like the Steelers are without question the most likely team to miss the playoffs after making it last year. I'm also really high on the Bengals, and I don't know where else. I have a feeling there may be a team in the AFC South that pops beyond Houston. It could be Jacksonville. I doubt it. I don't like Liam Cohen as a head coach. Liam Cohen, yeah. I don't know what the hell I said. Maybe the Colts, again, not really thinking that that's going to be the case either. Maybe the Titans, maybe Cam Ward's a big hit. But I really feel that like Cincinnati has got an opportunity to take Pittsburgh's spot. So basically, to tie bow back on this, Aaron Rodgers was on a podcast and he was saying that like, maybe he will retire. He's open to the idea of retiring as a member of the Packers. He grew up a Niners fan in Northern California. And he said that like, everybody that was a great player with the 49ers in his upbringing, like ended up retiring with the 49ers. He thought it was interesting that Jerry Rice, who played for 3 other teams. I think he played for the, definitely started for the Raiders, played for the Seahawks. I'm blanking on who his other team was, but he eventually did go back to San Francisco and retire with that team. I think Aaron Rodgers is understanding that the mortality of his NFL career. The Steelers could have him, but I don't think anybody else is interested. He just burned a bridge by saying he'd rather just not play than go to the Saints. I get that, but it's kind of disrespectful to the Saints or the state of Louisiana or whatnot. But like Rodgers has no interest in playing for the Saints. It's either the Steelers or nothing for him at this point. Jets don't want him back. I don't think anybody wants him. And frankly, I think the Steelers should move on. Possibly go with Cousins. We'll see if they want to go with Rudolph. Maybe we'll see what Howard can do. But like the Steelers have to make a decision at some point. And I think keeping Cousins out of OTAs or him not being there leads me to believe that a trade may be coming here soon, maybe post June 1, maybe when the money makes a little more sense. Again, I don't claim to know all the intricacies of Cousins' deal. It's complicated. He has a no trade clause. He has to waive it. And I think he would waive it to go to a team like the Steelers. I'm just of the belief that what I've heard from out of Rodgers' camp, where I think the Steelers are going as a franchise, what I saw Cousins do, what I see the Falcons do, it's all lining up in the sense that Cousins is going to go to the Steelers as soon as Aaron Rodgers says, okay, I'm done. And I think he's going to make a decision here soon because, look, even if Rodgers wants to go to Pittsburgh, he's got to build a rapport with DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin Jr., Roman Wilson, and a bunch of other guys in the receiving corps. He's got to do it again at 40-something years old. I don't know if he really wants to do that. And maybe the guys like Rudolph and Howard are building rapport with their guys. But Cousins, if he wants to go in and go trade over there, like be traded over there, like he's got to build up a rapport with his guys. He's got to learn a new offense, all that stuff. And again, Arthur Smith's offense is vastly different from what Zach Robinson runs here, which may lead to some of the disconnect with Kyle Pitts, among other things. But the more I sit here and the more I think about it, the more I am convinced that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when that Cousins gets traded to the Steelers. And I think by holding him out or him not being part of voluntary OTAs, I think it drives up the asking price for the Falcons. I don't know what they're going to get from him. Maybe it's a 4th-round pick. Maybe it's a 5th-round pick. Get something. I don't think it's going to be a day 2 pick. Falcons have to find new ways to recoup that 1st-round pick that they gave to the Rams in the deal to move up to get James Pearce Jr., who I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. But when people are saying things and doing things, believe them. And everything I've seen out of Rodgers leads me to believe that he's probably going to retire here soon. Everything that I've seen out of Cousins leads me to believe that he wants to be traded and he wants to play this year. Everything I've seen out of the Falcons leads me to believe that they want to go forward with Michael Penix Jr. And everything I've seen out of the Steelers leads me to believe that they're okay with Mason Rudolph. They like the idea of Will Howard in the future, but they know that they can do better at quarterback because there's a lot at play here. Look, and I'll just finish with this. The Steelers have quickly become a team that I'm regularly dumping on. So many Steelers fans get on my case about how I feel about George Pickens. I understand I've got a Steelers legend behind me, but I've also got Hines Ward. Franchise hasn't been the same since Hines Ward has played there, since he left. Mike Tomlin's an issue. The sooner they move on with him and they get somebody else in there to revamp this thing, then the Steelers can get back to being the Steelers, as in contending and getting to Super Bowls. TJ Watt, who we should have drafted in 2017 over Takk McKinley, has never won a playoff game. The Steelers have had less playoff success than us since 2017. It's kind of 2016. It's kind of unbelievable. We haven't made the playoffs since 2017. We've won games in 2 games in 16, 1 in 17, and haven't won a game. I haven't been back since. I don't know if Cousins really elevates the floor, raises the ceiling with the Steelers. Maybe in a vacuum it does. I don't necessarily know how he's going to shine in a black and blue division. He might be the 3rd best quarterback in that division, mostly because Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow are there. But if he's worse than Joe Flacco or Shedeur Sanders, I mean, that's going to be rough for the Steelers. I don't know if or when, but like we cannot keep having the same sort of just Stockholm syndrome with Mike Tomlin and the Steelers going forward. Like it needs to end. It needed to end 3 or 4 years ago. What are we doing? But I think the Falcons can take advantage of the Steelers' increased dysfunction. I mean, we swim in dysfunction. We know what that's all about. And, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked as soon as we trade Cousins that Penix or somebody else gets hurt. That's just our luck. That's just our lot in life. I'm not wishing for that. I just know what could potentially happen. But everything I'm seeing out of this leads me to believe that a trade between the Falcons and Steelers involving Cousins is more and more likely to happen because I just don't think Rodgers is interested in playing anymore. I think he's interested in protecting his legacy, and that's the biggest thing. I don't think him going to the Steelers improves his legacy at all. He's going to be known as a deep-thinking idiot who was immensely talented, was not always the best teammate, thought he was a great teammate, so talented, but great regular season player, just not quite there in the postseason. The Packers didn't always do him the best service in getting him the players he needed to. Fantastic player, first ballot Hall of Famer, but like, I think Matt Ryan was just a more likable, better liked guy for this team. I will always go to war that say Matt Ryan belongs in Canton, and you should too. And this is the Vlogging Podcast. All right, that's enough negative talk. Let's have some fun with some London calling. Let's not clash here. But the growing rapport between Drake London and Michael Penix Jr. may be what raises the Atlanta Falcons ceiling this year to new heights. Take a sip of coffee real quick, and we'll get going with this topic. So read this across the bottom here. Everything that I've seen when it comes to London and Penix, we could be looking at a top 10 connection of football this year. These are two players that are entering their prime. I think London makes his first Pro Bowl this year. I think Penix helps get the Falcons in the playoffs. They only had 3 weeks worth of first team reps with each other. That was ahead of the Giants game, ahead of the Commanders game, and then ahead of the second game of the Panthers. They're already making great throws. London's been able to go out there and assert himself anywhere on the gridiron. Whether he's go up and get a guy with 50-50 balls, be a possession receiver during the middle, be a deep threat, be a guy outside the numbers, he can do it all. He's a complete receiver. He's about to be the Mike Evans, with Mike Evans' career kind of going on the downtick. And Mike Evans is going to be in the Hall of Fame. Mike Evans might be the greatest offensive player in Tampa Bay Buccaneers football history. More so than Michael Allstott. Tom Brady was fantastic, but only there for 3 years. That's how much respect I have for Mike Evans with the Buccaneers, and potentially for what London can be. Just everything that I was reading about London and his connection with Penix, it just tells me that like this is how you raise the ceiling. There's ways to raise the floor with this team. And I think it starts with being able to get after the passer, being able to get off the field on third down, crucial situations, force turnovers. Offensively, the floor is pretty high. Obviously, however, Michael Penix Jr. Grows in his second year as a starter, his first full one as a starter, that's going to raise the floor more than anything because I love a running back tandem. I like our offensive line. We've got skill position guys all over the gridiron. When Kadarius Hodge is your number 4 wide receiver, that's pretty good. I mean, we know where 1, 2, 3 are with London, Darnell Mooney, and Ray McLeod. Those guys have all been here. They're still with the team again. It's another year in Zach Robinson's offense. This team could be really, really good. It could also disappoint. So by having that rapport where it's very obvious who the quarterback's favorite target is, the number 1 option, like we could be entering what it was with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones for a decade. We're like, oh, this is good. Yeah, I'll have me some more of this. So I'm really excited about what he can do. And I think as London gets better, it's going to create more space for guys like Mooney, McLeod, Hodge. Could even be rookie Nick Nash coming in. Chris Blair, who's been with the team for a little bit. Casey Washington, other guys in the receiving corps, fighting for jobs and everything like that. Like London being a force takes pressure off of the other guys to go out there and make plays, and they can make plays with when no one's looking. Again, I don't think Penix needs to lock in and throw it to his number 1 guy. I think he's too astute of a quarterback, too good in the pocket. His ability to really rifle it affords him more time for players to get open. So London's growth really probably raised the ceiling more than anything in this offense. Penix's growth raises the floor. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited about what this tandem can do here. I guess really to tie a bow on it with this segment here. Again, I thought I had more to talk about here than I did, but you're looking at 2 guys who give off nothing but positive vibes for this team that's trying to level up. I think when you have that, you gravitate towards that. Not just the media, not just the fans, but I think the players too. And I think when it's all moving in the same direction here, it makes it very easy to root for. And I think that really gets the crowd into it. I think that basically gives each player the necessary confidence they need to go out there and just be great. And these two players are on the verge of being great. We know that London's really good. We think that Penix is really good. But this is the year that we see it. So I could not be more excited about this. Moving on to the second half of our show, let's go with some grits blitz. What are the realistic expectations for Atlanta's two first-round edge rushers and Jalon Walker and James Pearce Jr.? Also saw something interesting about the recovery of Braylon Trice. I think he's still working his way back from a knee injury that he suffered in the first preseason game. Again, this was a first-round pick out of Washington, a Jimmy Lake guy through and through. He's not here anymore. So it would be his rookie year, his first year playing for the Falcons in a game that counts. Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I think, what would be a good year for them? Obviously be healthy. Obviously play all 17 games. Be able to play off each other and create havoc, as defensive line disruptors. I'm going to start with James Pearce Jr. I think a great year for him would be 6.5 sacks. I think him being among the team leaders, pushing for the best on the team with Arnold Ebiketie, maybe Braylon Trice. We'll see what he does. I don't know if the Falcons are going to have a double-digit sack guy this year, but maybe there will be a bunch of guys with about 6 and 4 across the board. And I think that would be good for the team in the sense that the opposing offensive line doesn't know where the pressure is always going to be coming from. Is this guy going to get to me? Is this guy going to get to me? As opposed to honing in on this guy's going to get to me more often than not. Let's focus on our protection and make sure that this guy gets double teamed every time. So we're not going to be, the eating of the lunch, so to speak. But the reason I have Pearce having maybe 6.5 would be he's a prototypical edge rusher. This is what he was at Tennessee. This is what he was playing for Tim Banks in Knoxville. At this time last year, this is a guy that was seen to be a top 5 lock. A lot's changed. I mean, Carson Beck was supposed to be a top 5 lock. He went back, and he's playing in Miami. Quinn Ewers was supposed to be a top 5 lock. He went in the 7th round to the Dolphins. Pearce nearly fell in the 2nd round, but the Falcons straight up to get him in the deal with the Rams. I would just say that what he's being asked to do in this offense is probably a situational pass rusher. It's just go out there and be productive. And I don't think he's going to be asked to do as much as Jalon Walker is in terms of being able to disguise things. When Pearce is out there, we kind of know what he's going to do. Look at it as how and that's kind of why I would say Jalon Walker. I was reading what the Falcoholic was saying. Everybody's kind of the belief a good year for Jalon Walker is 5.5 sacks, and I'm in agreement there. I think that would be good. The good news is Kelvin Banks Jr., the guy that Jalon Walker actively seeks and destroys from Texas, now plays for the Saints. Excuse me. Still fighting off a cold. Been sick for a week. A bit over a week now. Ah, man. We're all just getting more and more unhealthy by the day. Isn't it great? But anyway, I think Walker is going to be deployed all over the field. Maybe he'll be a linebacker in some situations. Maybe he'll be an edge rusher. I think he's going to be a guy where the opposing quarterbacks have to point out where he is. He's not going to say this is the mic or whatever it is. But just being able to use him all over the field and deploy my defense, I think Jeff Ulbricht's going to be pretty excited about that. But I think that he'll be an incredibly productive player. I don't necessarily know if he'll have the same amount of sacks as James Pearce Jr. because I think Pearce might have a little more of a specialized role. Excuse me. Anyway, I was reading about this with James Pearce Jr., what the Falcons are. They're comfortable with his personality. They're comfortable with his quirks. They just see a guy that is every bit a prototypical pass rusher that can just go out there and get it. And I think the fact that Falcons legend and former Tennessee star himself, Chuck Smith, looks at the situations this is one of his guys. This is a guy that he could probably give a little more intel in on. probably allow the Falcons to be a bit more comfortable taking James Pearce Jr. than maybe some other teams were. I will say, though, I am much happier about our edge rusher situation with our rookie class with Walker and Pearce than the Bengals. I mean, the Shamar Stewart thing is just insane. The guy still hasn't signed his deal. I know the Bengals are cheap. These are two teams that were looking for relatively the same type of players in the draft. I think the Bengals have a little bit higher ceiling than us just because, I mean, Burrow is a more well-known commodity. Same with Higgins, same with Chase. And we could be that. We could be the Bengals of 2021 this year. That'd be unbelievable if we got to the Super Bowl with like that kind of team. That'd be amazing. I'd be so fired up. But like, I'm looking at this with, Walker and Pearce kind of being similar to how we view Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier in the backfield. When Robinson's back there, he's probably going to run the ball, but he can catch the ball and he can block. So that makes him an incredibly valuable player. It allows him to be on the field as often as he is, because there's not just one thing that he's doing. With Algier, yes, he can catch a little bit. Yes, he can block a little bit. But mostly when he's out there, he's just running over people. He's just out there just being a brute force, a battering ram. Maybe that's what Pearce is going to be coming off the edge. It's like, go out there, go out, make a play. We know you're coming. There's no disguising this. Just go out there and show your athleticism and defensive end prowess out there and just make something happen. So I would say, it'd be great to see these guys combine to give us 12 sacks in the rookie year. I'd be in favor of that. Moving on to our penultimate topic of the day, we're going to go with some cuckoo. Yeah. Didn't realize the Atlanta Falcons have 2 kickers, so that's crazy. So follow me on this. Young Wei Koo has been with the team for a while. This is a guy who played his college football at Georgia Southern. Briefly kicked for the AAF's Atlanta Legends. Did not work out for him initially with the Chargers. Stuck on with the Falcons. Essentially the kicker to replace Matt Bryant here in Atlanta. Has been here for a while. Has been an All-Pro, been a Pro Bowler. Just been a very reliable special teams player up until last year. And he made that fantastic kick, a career-long one versus the Saints to beat them. And again, we probably shouldn't have won back in week 4. As it turns out, I think he was dealing with like a hip injury. He went on He went on IR a little bit, dealing with a little bit of stuff of that nature. And again, kicking is a very fickle thing. It's all mental. A guy can be an All-Pro 1 year and out of league in 2 years. It happens all the time. Look at my former Georgia guy who went to school with me same year, Blair Walsh, phenomenal player at Georgia. So good for the Vikings. He misses that kick. And out like the chip shot field goal in 15, the year before Teddy Bridgewater's leg exploded, out of the league very quickly. Had the highest of highs there with the Vikings and was out of the league before he was 30. It's all mental. It's all about being able to do this. So I was saying the Falcons have 2 kickers now. Well, they went out there and they signed Lenny Craig, a guy from Germany, to like their international allotment thing. Again, the Falcons have really made it a point to have like a stronghold in Germany. That's kind of where they have like regional broadcasting rights, I guess. I don't know exactly what Commissioner Goodell's plans are for that. The Falcons are playing the Colts over in Germany, in Berlin this year. So signing a guy with like the international tag to it, I think allows you to keep him on your roster without necessarily designating him to the 53. And I was reading about this. Lenny Craig, apparently his brother went to Wisconsin and was like, dude, you got to see this. This football is amazing. You got to be all about this. And Craig's like, well, I play soccer. I play association football. I'm not really into getting hit. I mean, a lot of people aren't. It's fine. But, I can use this and become a specialist and learn to kick. And not to say that, Koo was international, but I mean, he's Korean. He grew up in New Jersey. Again, like football was probably not what he was expected to do. He played soccer. A lot of guys do this. I mean, Falcons great Morten Andersen was a skier from Denmark, goes over there in high school to ski, then becomes a place kicker, goes on to Michigan State, has a Hall of Fame career with the Falcons and Saints predominantly. Like, this is not uncommon across the board, but like, this is one of those things where like, if a player in a way, I feel like the gap of being able to make the jump from international, like never playing like college football, like doing that as a specialist, like it seems like now it's far more easier than it would be. Like, okay, this guy played rugby. We're going to see if he can be a defensive end, or he played Aussie rules football. Let's see if he can be a wide receiver because he can go up and get it. Like it's different, you know. Whereas like my best friend played soccer growing up. He was asked to be the kicker for his high school team his senior year, and he did. And the team had a lot of success. That pretty much everybody I knew that played soccer ended up going on and trying to see if they could kick. You know, that's kind of the way that goes. But it just kind of leads me to believe that it makes you wonder if Atlanta has a little bit of doubt in their mind when it comes to Younghoe Koo. Like, I don't want to see him off this team. I think he just fits everything that's so awesome and cool about this team and the city and this fan base. I will say though, Dirty Bird Nation loves them some kickers. They love their kickers. They always resonate with these guys. I think we realize like we've won a lot of games with special teams. We've lost a few because of special teams, but like anytime you got a good kicker that can make the extra points, be able to get 3 points when your offense is sputtering a little bit, just to get something to not like ruin a possession. That's a huge plus. But you know, if Craig can basically overtake Koo, that may be the end of the line for Koo here at some point, just because like Craig's under a 3-year contract, which I was like, wait, what? This guy's never played in the NFL before. And he gets 3 years with the team. But again, like they're able to kind of stash him and see what he can do. What I'm hoping for is it brings out the best in both of them. That Koo ends up having staying power, that Craig may eventually become a guy that could play in the NFL, possibly here, possibly somewhere else. And I think growing the game is good because you want to see the best people playing the best sport on the planet to give us the best players, just give us the best product. You know, you think about like baseball and basketball. Basketball, for example, like the last 7 NBA MVPs are all international guys. None of them played in the AAU circuit. I mean, I forget that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is Canadian. I mean, I understand that Joel Embiid is now naturalized as an American, but like he for the most part is he for the most part is what's what I'm looking for. Hey Christy, thanks for joining the show. Just saw that on the chat here. Anyway, I'm looking at opportunities for these players to prove their worth. Maybe look at the NBA, like the AAU circuit needs to be revamped. I mean, look how international hockey is, look how international soccer, baseball is, and American football is not quite there just yet. But I'll say yes. Matt Bryant set the foundation for my kicker's perception, importance of position. You know, he won us a lot of games. I mean, he gave us some of our best moments there. I'll never forget the game winning kick he had versus the Seahawks at 2012. I think that was Matt Ryan's first playoff win. Only a playoff win I think Tony Gonzalez saw in his career. Like he was a spectacular player for us for a long time. Again, I know kicker is not necessarily the most important position out there, but you can win and lose games with this. And all I'm hoping is that this lights a fire under Koo's ass to be even better, to go out there and just be what he was during the 2021 season. So I'm really excited that like we as the Falcons fans can see the team potentially use this to his advantage here. So going to move on to our last topic of the day. You know, it was Memorial Day this past weekend. Didn't really have much to talk about here, but let's remember some birds. Let's remember some dudes here. And I'm gonna start with a local product here from the Atlanta area. Let's go with a wide receiver, Harry Douglas. And all 3 guys I'm gonna have on the show, they're not the biggest stars, but I think that they prove their worth as like truly fantastic Falcons. Harry Douglas grew up in Jonesboro, just south of the city. Played his college football at Louisville, star player there for the Cardinals. Comes to the Falcons, I think in 2008. I think is a 3rd round pick. I think he might have come in with the same year draft class as Matt Ryan, if I'm not mistaken. But he gradually worked his way up the depth chart. What you have to remember is when he was here, Julio Jones was starting to come into his own. Roddy White was already at the peak of his powers. So he was always like a very high-end number 3. And people kind of forget that. I know he's doing a media career now out there working for ESPN. I also forget that his brother, Tony Douglas, his younger brother, Tony Douglas, played in the NBA for a while. I think he played for the Celtics, point guard, played at Auburn and Florida State, if I'm not mistaken. But what I like the most about Harry Douglas is every guy that I mentioned on here, the three here, they're all going to do something that I respect and earns my respect for Falcons worth remembering. The 2013 season for the Falcons was not good. It was rough. It was, you come after the 2012 season where you went 13-3. You should have probably gone to the Super Bowl. You should have probably won. I don't know if he would have beaten Ray Lewis with his deer antler spray in New Orleans. That would have been great to win a Super Bowl at the Saints place. That would have been my favorite thing ever. Matt Ryan should have gotten that Super Bowl over Joe Flacco. That's that. I'm just going to leave it at that. But the 13th season, it hit the fan. Tom McClure retired. They thought Mike Pearce could be the center for the team. Most certainly could not. Michael Turner retired or didn't play any after that. And then I think very early on, Julio Jones hurt his foot. He broke his foot, had to get a screw put into it. I kind of wonder what his numbers would have been had he been healthy for that season. But he was dealing with foot injuries pretty much throughout the rest of his career. Harry Douglas stepped up big time. He became a 1,000-yard receiver in 13. Just the proof that every single pass catcher, running back, tight end was better playing with Matt Ryan. And Harry Douglas, I will always think about that 1,000-yard season and just going out and getting yours. I mean, season went to hell. I think the team went 4-12. It was kind of the beginning of the end there for Mike Smith. And then obviously what happened at 14 with the Falcons not making the playoffs and a very, very winnable NFC South. But this was kind of the beginning of the end for him. But obviously Harry Douglas went out there and made it happen. And I will always hold him in high regard because of that. He spent a lot of time here. I know I think he missed a year, I think in 2009 with injury. But from 10 to 14, very prominent part of the receiving core, certainly helped make Matt Ryan one of the best quarterbacks of his generation. So I've always got high marks there for Harry Douglas. Moving on to another guy that I think gets overlooked a lot in this. Let's go with Falcons guard Justin Blalock. We talk so much about Todd McClure. We talk so much about Mud Duck at center and how great he was for a long time as a 7th-round pick out of LSU. But I don't necessarily know if Justin Blalock gets the love he deserves. I mean, he was with his team his entire career, a career Falcon. Didn't realize he played and started at Texas, played for Mac Brown. I think I was looking at this. I forget exactly how long he played here. I think his last year here, he was 31 years old. Didn't play super long in the league, but I think he only missed 3 games in his career. He was the guy that the Falcons could trust in at guard, go out there and start. I think Todd Weiner was another guy that played alongside Blalock and McClure as well. But I just think there's any guy that plays for over 100 games for one franchise always has my respect because they've done something to become a pillar of that team, even if it's an unglamorous position as guard. I think that's a big deal. And again, Blalock probably doesn't get the respect he deserves. He did a lot to help keep Matt Ryan upright, open up running lanes for, Michael Turner and maybe I think beforehand Warwick Dunn, TJ Duckett. I'm blanking on exactly when his timeline was with the team. He played about 7-8 years, something along that line. Not quite 10, but this is a player that you could always count on him his name to be penciled in the starting lineup to be able to make a positive impact for his team in a very unglamorous position. And I think in this day and age where people just can't leave well enough alone, people can't be loyal. People can't just let things cook. Everything's got to be microwaved. Everything's got to be now. Having a guy who's just good, just low-key good for a very long time, that's how you build success. That's how you build wealth. That's how you build equity with, financially, in your relationship with your family, with your fan base. Just being consistently good. You don't even have to be great. If you're just consistently good, people can rely on you. People can trust you. People want to believe that you can do a lot of great things. And Blalock most certainly was that for the Falcons for a long time. There's other linemen in the history of this team. Jake Matthews, obviously, about Mike Ken, Jeff Van Note, who played and were better players at their high end than him. But McClure as well. Like there's value to be had here, and yeah, you're not forgotten. You are definitely remembered as a guy that I played a lot of Madden too as a kid. I remember seeing Justin Blalock. I'm like, oh hell yeah, we got this guy on our team. We're gonna be good. I'm gonna play with the Falcons. It's gonna be awesome. So yeah, definitely a big fan of Justin Blalock when he was here. And finally, I'm gonna move on to our last topic of the day, or last guy of the day. I'm gonna go with Atlanta Falcons defensive end Lester Archambault. Yeah, I got memories of Lester Archambault when I was really little. So I was reading about him. So he's from Montville, New Jersey. Played at Stanford. I remember him being like a really scary looking bald dude with like a goatee when I was a kid, and just kind of like looked like a football player. And I didn't realize he first came into the league with the Packers. Didn't really do much. I think he played in the league from 92 to 2000. I think he finished with the 2000 Broncos, 93, 94, maybe. I don't know, maybe we played 10 years. Like the first 3 years were with the Packers. Last year was with the Broncos. So I think he spent the bulk of his career here with Atlanta. I was looking at this, and I remember during COVID, I remember watching the NFC Championship game like on a stream, just because like from '98, like because I don't really remember it too much. I was really little, and I remember them like showing like Falcons on the sidelines and everything like that. They showed William Andrews over there cheering on the team. I think they showed owner Taylor Smith at the time looking at that, looking on from the team, showing Dan Reeves in the sideline, Rich Brooks on the sideline, showing Jack Burns up in the booth calling plays. I remember them looking over at Lester Archambault, sitting on the edge of the bench. I have a very distinct memory of that. I didn't realize he had 10 sacks that season. It was kind of a no-name edge rush. A lot of guys were really playing very well for Rich Brooks. Obviously Chuck Smith's the kind of the big name from that crew. I think Keith Brooking was rookie that year. And then you also had, remember Shane Durnett in the middle, who was like a big defensive tackle, just a big space eater, if you will. Archambault, again, like any Stanford guy, I think he might have actually played for Denny Green at Stanford at the time. Interestingly enough, beating his Vikings in the NFC Championship game. But what I like about this is there's two things that I remember about Archambault, other than his big menacing appearance and his production there in '98. The first is it doesn't always have to work out at your first employer. Just keep working at it. I mean, the Packers were pretty good. They were kind of on the come up there with Brett Favre. Goes to Atlanta, has easily the best run of his career. I think he had 36 sacks. I think 30 of them came in Atlanta. So, and then 10 of them came in that one season. But like being able to find the right place for you to work, that's where you can go out and thrive. Maybe he was traded there, maybe elected free agency. Again, I don't really recall how he got here. But like when it works, it works. And that's what you're hoping for, putting people in the right positions to succeed. And then the other thing is like, when it's time to get it, man. Like the '98 Falcons came out of nowhere. They went 7-9 the year prior, went 14-2, went all the way to the Super Bowl. Weren't really much of a match for the Broncos, but like you beat the 15-1 Vikings. Vikings haven't been in the Super Bowl in 50 years. Like it's been a painfully long time. I was sitting there thinking about it with 4th of July coming up. I think it's America's 249th birthday. So like basically 250 years would be in 2026. 1976, I think, was the last time the Vikings were playing for a Super Bowl or something like that. And that was like Fran Tarkenton losing to Ken Stabler, I think. It's been a minute there. But like those years when you get to a Super Bowl or you get to the NFC Championship and you're not like the Chiefs. You're not the Tom Brady Patriots. You're not dynastic. Like when you have those years where like it's a bit of an outlier for you organizationally, you look across the board, like you're getting unexpected results and production from good rotational players, good guys that are like, complementary players. We think of the '98 Falcons. We think of Jamal Anderson in the backfield. We think about Chris Chandler at quarterback. We think about Terrence Mathis, a wide receiver. We think about Ray Buchanan, unfortunately, Eugene Robinson in the secondary. We think about Morton Anderson kicking the football. There's other players out there as well but those are the first like 5 or 6 names you think of when you think of the '98 Falcons. And I guess Lester Archambault kind of gets lost. Jesse Tuggle, forgot about him. Yeah, another phenomenal player here with the Falcons. But like Archambault went out there and he got it and he made it happen. We don't get to the Super Bowl without him. And again, a guy played the bulk of his career in Atlanta. That's the same with Douglas. Not his entire career with Blalock, but they were all about the same amount of time, like 6, 7, 8 years. And I think when you've been for the team for that long and you've earned staying power with it, you've earned your keep on this program. This was episode 43 of the Blog and Dirty podcast. You can follow me, John Buhler, on Twitter or the X at Buhler118. You can follow the show on YouTube at Blog and Dirty FS. You can follow the show on Twitter at Blog and Dirty, or follow along with Blog and Dirty. Be sure to watch, like, comment, and subscribe to the Blog and Dirty podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere there's podcasts. Give us a 5-star review. Really helps the show grow. You can do that on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere. It's all good. Apple really helps. Obviously, give us, subscribe. Just do anything you want to do to help move the show along. We're getting really close to 300 subscribers here. I know where that. I also appreciate you guys have been really following along. Viewership's really ticked up here in recent weeks. I've been doing these shows solo whenever I can. Obviously, the off season's busy with our own personal lives, trying to get you something here within once a week. Maybe we'll go to 2. Maybe we'll do a post-game show at the end of each game next year. Again, that all depends on, time and allotment of resources here. I'm doing this for you guys because I love this team and I want to see this team succeed so incredibly badly. Man, I'm just really fired up. Yeah, even though the show kind of got off on a negative note with so many guys missing voluntary OTAs, it did it on a high note because I was once again reminded of myself that when you get buy-in from the guys that are there that want to be here, that want to make a difference, it can take you from good to great. It can take you from mediocre to outstanding. And that's what we're hoping for. There's a lot of talent on this team. There's a lot of reasons to be excited about what could come for the 2025 Atlanta Falcons. But it's all about putting in the work now. It's all about putting in the work in training camp. It's all about getting off to a hot start with our regular season schedule, which is a little challenging at the start. Ends a little challenging too. Got to take care of business in the middle. But I think with guys like Michael Penix Jr., Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Drake London, Jesse Bates III, Chris Lindstrom, there's a lot of positive. Jake Matthews, there's a lot of positive to be had here with this franchise and with this team. I hope they can win the division. It's going to be tough because Tampa's not going away just yet. Carolina's on the uptick. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me this morning, you guys. We'll have a show back on here for you guys next week. I think it should be same time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern. Once again, thanks for listening. And this is the Blog and Dirty Podcast.